I just have my updated picks on the screen with no reveal. If you're someone who likes suspense and really wants to go back and see my old version of the bracket unfold in real time, be my guest, but these will be my final and updated picks before the games tip off. I won't be changing it after this. For this Northern Iowa game, I picked St. John's originally. A lot of people did too. I thought they were too strong, too physical, too good analytically. Half the reason I switched up on them is because I really want to pick UNI after making that video about them. But one thing I forgot to consider when I picked St. John's the first time, that St. John's is not a half-court team. They like to push the tempo, and Northern Iowa is like one of the best transition defenses analytically. I just assumed this was going to be a half-court game from both teams, in which case I probably would have taken St. John's. So this, along with the analytics that I shared in that Northern Iowa video I made, definitely has me changing my mind. Actually, on a similar note, another good reason for me to pick Northern Iowa here is because I started changing my round of 32 pick to Kansas even when they were playing St. John's initially. Because in a game where I don't really have faith in Kansas or St. John's to put up points, I want the team with the two best shot makers in Darren Peterson and Trey White. And now that I have Northern Iowa winning, I'm just going to take Kansas anyway. They're a good free throw shooting team. They have a good defense. Not as good as like St. John's or UNI maybe, but it's good enough. I'm actually liking Kansas's draw the more that I think about this. I probably would take them either way at this point. All right. With the news of Mikael Brown not playing, not just in this first game, but the second game, that definitely has changed my pick. I initially had them going on a sleeper run to the Elite Eight. Yes, they were my sleeper team this year. I'm not going to do that anymore, obviously. But I'm still going to have them beat South Florida. At this point, we should call it 6, beating 11 the upset with the amount of people that jumped ship after Mikael Brown got hurt. They still have a winning record without Mikael Brown. They play the exact same way without Mikael Brown. I don't know what else. I don't see the vision with South Florida. I'm not going to lie, y'all. Louisville may beat up on bottom feeders, but compared to some of the guys that Louisville has played this year, South Florida technically is one of those bottom feeders. And South Florida played Alabama and they lost. And Alabama's like the closest thing you can get to Louisville. So like, I have faith in Louisville to win one game. I'll have them lose to Michigan State next round, but I have enough faith in them for one miracle game. I also did switch from UNC to VCU. I only picked against this because I thought it was a trap, but I really don't like UNC's guard room. I definitely don't have a ton of faith in the front court now that Giannis Antetokounmpo won't be returning for them. I might actually argue that Caleb Wilson was more important to his team than JT Toppin was to Texas Tech. I'm at the point where I truly believe that. Once again, this works out nicely because whoever wins is getting packed up by Illinois. That much isn't changing, at least. I stood 10 toes down for Louisville. I'm standing 10 toes down on Iowa. They are going to be the pick that shocks the world. They are going to be my snipe, my Curry shooting from the moon. Florida is probably winning this game. Let's keep it a buck. I acknowledge that Florida has like a 95% chance of winning this game, probably, if not more. I have Florida not going to the Final Four. I don't even want to pick them for the Elite Eight. Why not take a snipe on them? Out of all of the teams that could beat Florida, Iowa matches up better than most. Like, I wouldn't pick any of the other 8 or 9 seeds to upset Florida. But this works out perfectly. It is March Madness. I don't want to pick just chalk. I'm still going with Iowa here. I'm also still standing on my Illinois pick. That much is not changing either. I like the 50-50 on Houston. A whole bunch of bots are picking Houston. Not saying you were a bot for picking Houston, but come on. There are a lot of bots picking Houston. The bigs can stretch the floor, and Houston likes to let teams shoot. Kinda. They have more big man bodies available, and the one thing that I keep seeing being overlooked, Illinois puts up points and Houston doesn't. Like, Houston's offense can get kind of bogged down at times. Really a lot of the time, so they got to hope that they can force Illinois to also get bogged down. And like in Illinois' losses, they still score. All of their losses in overtime, they put up like 80, 90 points. Can Houston do that? I like Illinois on the glass. I like that Illinois won't send them to the line. That's less points that Houston will be getting on top of the few that they already get. I love this matchup for Illinois. And because I don't trust Florida to win the region and Houston has looked a little too weird, good but weird, with all the problems that Illinois has had, I still think they've easily been the most consistent team in this region. Okay, for this matchup, low-key, if I remembered Hodge was out for the year, I wouldn't have picked them to begin with. I self-admittedly have barely kept up with the Big East this year, aside from St. John's and UConn. All I know is what the consensus is, and that I really wasn't missing much. I think with this update, I don't have a single Big East team making it to the Sweet 16. If I switch the UCLA pick, which is very realistic, I'm going back and forth on that, we will. But we'll see later. If I switch, I won't make a video update on it. That'll be game time decision for me closer to tip off. All right, I totally lied last video. I know I liked BYU over whoever won Texas, NC State. I lied. Texas has an entire lineup of bucket getters, reliable center, reliable overall team, a team that draws and makes free throws. Basically, they're just BYU, but more complete. AJ DeBonsa will be the best player on the floor. Maybe Rob Wright will be the second best player, who knows. But like, BYU's just depleted. And I don't mean just Richie Saunders. They have one of the worst benches in college basketball in terms of production. I feel comfortable at least taking Texas here. All right, listen to me here. There's all this talk about, is Akron going to upset Tech? Is Hofstra going to upset Alabama? All this stuff about JT Toppin being out and Aiden Holloway getting arrested. But I think the funniest thing in the world here is if we just got Texas Tech versus Alabama. That's honestly what I'm leaning towards, because Akron, I really don't like them that much. It's not that they don't match up well analytically, but I feel like people keep talking about the analytics, and I like talking about analytics, but there's a difference between being able to do something and going out to do it. And Texas Tech, like, this will be a shootout game, and in a shootout game, I like Texas Tech. And in the Alabama-Hofstra game, yes, Aiden Holloway was a valuable piece on their team. But Alabama also has like a deep guard in the sense that they just have like a lot of guards. They can just take one or two players, give them the Aiden Holloway touch. And they have better big men, in my opinion. In a one-game scenario, like, Alabama's strength of schedule has still been much better. Like, I still trust Alabama here. Like, I like a lot of the other upsets in the other regions better than I like these two, the more that I think about it. So I'm just going to take Tech and Bama over here with, I think, Alabama going to the Sweet 16. I know it's kind of chalky, but I do think it would be the funniest thing in the world to see this happen after all the talk about the 12 and the 13 seed here and everyone hammering that home just to say they could pick one in an inconsequential region. But I digress. A later pick that it really isn't an upset, but I'm liking the more I think about it. Tennessee over Virginia. The analytics and sometimes the eye test says Virginia, but one dude on Twitter put something out that I haven't been able to find. If it was you, please tell me. But he was talking about how Virginia has the elite shot blockers, but they tend to drop back on defense because they like look for the shot block. They hedge a little bit. If I've learned one thing about Tennessee by watching way too much SEC ball as an Aggie grad, it's that for better or for worse, Nate Ament and Boswell and the occasional Gillespie are all comfortable taking mid-range shots. Efficiency aside, they are going to shoot over a drop all day, every day. Make or miss, they like doing it. And maybe the two dudes on the court I trust most to get a last-second bucket in the clutch are Ament and Gillespie. Why can't Tennessee win this? Even if Virginia is better in like every analytical way, I feel like the percentage of people picking Virginia is a little disproportionate compared to the odds that Tennessee actually has. They're much better on the offensive glass, too. Virginia isn't good on the defensive glass. They might miss the first shot, but one of the shot chuckers can hit the second attempt with like an Okpara rebound or an Estroa rebound or something. I kind of like him here, and I can't think of, a dude on Virginia, someone that can step up to the level of like an Ament or a Gillespie or a Kingston Flemings or a Jaden Bradley at the end of a game. They have dudes, don't get me wrong. I like Virginia. If they weren't playing Tennessee here, I would probably have them winning, but give me Tennessee with a upset that's not really an upset here. I don't want all 1s and 2s and 1s and 3s in the Sweet 16. And this right here, just to kind of wrap everything up, because like my Final Four, I'm probably not changing at this point, but between Gonzaga and Purdue in the Sweet 16, I could take either one. But one thing I've been thinking about is like if I'm picking Texas over BYU, they don't match up well against Purdue, but I think Texas matches up well against Gonzaga. because like I made a video earlier about stats you should know, and Gonzaga is one of the teams like I worry about with like free throws. You know, like they don't take 20 a game. They make under 70%. They do have good perimeter defenders and interior. Gonzaga plays good defense, but Texas plays good offense. I like the KD style approach to basketball typically, where it's like good offense beats good defense every time. But I don't know. I think the Braden Huff thing is definitely something to consider because the front court won't have as many bodies. Volkatitis is one of the best bigs at drawing fouls. The entire Texas team is one of the best at drawing fouls. Will Gonzaga have to sit Innocenti for a long period of time? What about Graham Ike? What if they get Graham Ike in foul trouble? I'm thinking about like Dalen Swain and like Tremont Mark on Mario St. Superi and Fogel, which like they're good. I'm not trying to bash those dudes, but I think I'm going to stick with Texas here. That way I can have, one of those first four teams. They always go on a run. I think Texas is the team that can go to the Sweet 16 here. I'm not expecting this to happen, but this will be able to set me up for a 1-2 worst case scenario, which like based off the way things are going, why not? Like my upset pick will lead to a 1-2. That'll get me more points later on in the bracket anyway. Kind of big brain, may also be kind of stupid, especially if the Purdue we all know and love from the past years shows up. But yeah, I'm gonna rock with Texas here. This will be my double digit seed in the Sweet 16. So yeah, all in all, this is the bracket: Duke, Illinois, Arizona, Iowa State. Surprisingly enough, the pick I'm feeling the least confident in is in Iowa State, but I really don't. It's just going to be between either Michigan or one of Iowa State or Virginia, but we have Tennessee beating Virginia. So it's very likely that I'm just wrong and Michigan is the team to come out of here anyway, because they have looked dominant still without like LJ Kaysen. Like they went from they look like a top 5 team instead of the best team now, but they looked like the best team before that. So it's like they didn't drop off that hard in my opinion. Michigan is still deeper. They might be more dominant. They're bigger. But, like Iowa State's played up to not Virginia. Iowa State's played up to Arizona before. And again, just like I said in the last video, I am thinking that like Taman Lipsey and Killian Torr probably see Elliot Cadeau and Roddy Gale as like this is Christmas for them. And I like Josh Jefferson to get on like Lindeborg or Johnson, whoever's down there. I don't know. I still like Iowa State. That'll be my official pick. I'm not going to switch that, even though I fully acknowledge that Michigan is probably the more logical pick here. So yeah, this is the bracket. These are all the updates I have made. This is what I'm rocking with going into tip-off, depending on when this finishes uploading, very soon, because this is recording Wednesday. But yeah, if you want to take any of this for your own bracket, please apply it. But like I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. Happy watching.